into your left forearm there. I'm going to put 2 little pyrocarbon discs on your forearm, and in basic English they just trick your brain into thinking you need to sweat.
Okay.
So the process takes 6 or 7 minutes. With a small little current which you won't even feel.
Interesting.
Collect the sample that's generated under the red one. So are you a heavy sweater?
So
Okay, yeah, so it varies.
medium, that makes sense.
Yeah. It varies per person and it's linked to your DNA.
Right.
I'd have people who would be really heavy sweaters,
Yeah.
and they would collect the sample, collect the sweat sample in a small little macro relaxer, in a small little macro dot collector. Yeah, so
And just in terms of feeling, I'm feeling nothing no other than the odd little tinkle.
that's all you feel, yeah.
Tiny.
Yeah. So there's a small little chemical in the disc, and so it just reacts with your brain into thinking you need to sweat. It creates a sweat patch on your forearm, and that's the best place for us to collect is from the forearm. I typically have 3 people. I have guys who sweat, are heavy sweaters, but don't sweat much salt. I would be one of those people. I sweat a lot of fluids. I was on the bike this morning for half an hour this morning, and I probably lost half kg.
Right.
Okay, so I'd have people who then don't sweat a whole lot, but will sweat an awful lot of salt. Or I'd have mainly girls who don't sweat much at all and sweat a lot of salt as well.
Yeah.
So, and then I have the odd person who doesn't sweat much and doesn't sweat much salt. I had one of those in Bangor last week. It was very, very low sweat and very low sodium. So they don't really have a whole lot to worry about. For me, who don't sweat a lot of salt, I sweat a lot of liquid. So for me, it's important to replace that liquid. That's how I got involved in this. I was losing too much fluid and was dehydrated. Other people will lose lots of sodium, but they have dehydration and cramping issues. Typically, the heavy sweaters that lose a lot of salt have cramping issues. Whether they're losing fluid or losing salt, and a combination of those two over a period of time, that's when the cramping issues occur. There's no definitive answer yet to cramping still, but it's generally a cascade effect that the fluid loss combined with the sodium loss combined with continuous exercise over a period of time. So it's like a cascade one goes and leads to something else.
So again, when you see people finishing, they have white chalky marks up.
Yeah. They're traditionally the sodium sweaters. And they traditionally, up to probably about 2 hours of exercise, the sodium they've lost, they've all picked okay because they've had that in their diet. Whereas when you go longer than 2 hours, generally that's when the problems occur.
And how much of an impact to their performance does it then?
Well, it starts to drop off completely when they end up walking,
Yeah.
cramping, stop. So if you manage the sodium losses properly, you should have no issues. That's why the sweat test is important. Once you have your number, it's linked to your DNA, it never changes. So not like a VO2 max test where you might get one at the start of the season and one at the end of the season or during it. Every year, just once off. Then once you follow the hydration protocols and the advice we give you, you can optimize your hydration always.
Yeah. So this is this is everyday hydration as well as race hydration.
Everything.
Is it?
Everything, yeah. So it's just optimizes personally for you
Okay.
into our range of electrolytes. So we do 3 different strengths. We do a 500, 1,000 and a 1,500. The average person loses 949 milligrams of sodium per litre. That's the average person. A lot of the drinks out there are only 250 or 220. So they would be a quarter of the strength that's required if you're a serious athlete over a period of time. So for us, the 1,000 is probably the most popular for the average athlete. So
Which I did, yeah.
how many hours a week do you train? So the categories would be less than 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15.
5 to 10.
Any indoor? Or it's not outdoor?
The treadmill every
It's
now and
not,
again.
okay.
I was on a Monday night, you see that?
And sweat rate, I'd actually say you're moderate, I wouldn't say you're high sweat.
Yeah.
So if you're on the treadmill now, would you be?
Oh, it's from my sweat big.
Okay.
Yeah. Outdoor. Don't drink down.
Yeah, I'd say you're moderate, because I have some guys now that would have that full already.
Yeah,
That's just their makeup and then sweat, the heat and have them
Yeah,
sweat in
yeah.
there, so everyone's sort of different. So do you think you lose much salt in your sweat? Does it run in your eyes ever, or is there any white marks? Or
Rarely.
Okay.
Rarely, yeah. Maybe
Cramps?
Cramps. Muscle cramps, is it?
Yeah.
Calves always, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, yeah, because I had guys. I tested a guy a few weeks ago, and he gave no. I know, but talking to, I'd say you're going to be sort of middle of the road. You're not going to be heavy salty or anything. So guy a couple of weeks ago. I tested him, and he gave no indications he was salty. He never cramped, nothing. And he was extremely salty. Yeah, I craved. I have so much salt in my food. So he didn't cramp because he's taken so much salt in his diet, and he never ran half marathons and so he wasn't really extending for really long periods of time. But really salty. It was all down to it. He takes so much salt in his food. So
I don't. I don't take much salt at all.
The moment of truth. So I reckon you're under 40. I'll explain what Jesus. Far from it. You're one of the red herrings.
Really?
Yep. You're really salty.
So
and that would when you said you're cramping your calves, that would relate to the cramping of the calves.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting.
But the fact that you don't like to take a lot of salt, you don't sweat a whole lot. We're one of the saltiest I've done for ages. So that's. I'll take that. I'll send all these to you.
Yeah.
That will explain it. How often do you get cramping in the calf?
Like I nearly carry it constantly.
Really?
Like I go to the physio regularly, and it's always the calf. Like, and my left calf in particular is always a problem. Even to touch, you know, you can feel a little soreness in it. You know.
It's really interesting.
So I'm not taking enough salt.
You're not going at all.
Yeah. Right. So these are my results.
So Brian, we've ran through your sodium sweat that we've collected from your forearm, ran it through the analyzer, and it's come back with the results. So you are a very salty sweater. So you're one of the saltiest persons I've tested in the last year. So the average person loses 949 milligrams of sodium in their sweat, which is equivalent to our pH 1000 electrolyte. Bear in mind your standard sports drink is down here.
Okay.
So if you're an average sweater and you're taking a standard sports drink or a standard basic off-the-shelf gel,
you're way
behind. You're behind.
You're negative already. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
You're up here, which is stronger than our 1500. So you said you had a history of cramping in your calf, which would explain that you're a salty sweater. Generally means that you're going to have some cramp issues. You're not a very heavy sweater, but there would still be important for you to get in a certain amount of fluid every hour with your electrolytes.
Okay.
So we take this information here along with the little questionnaire we did, so we take your sweat concentration, your sweat rate, which is moderate. You're running marathons, so you're going to be there 3 to 3.5 hours in training and stuff. And we work out your net losses. And for you, because it's running and it's going to be 3 hours.
Yeah.
If you were a triathlete and going for 10 or 12 hours, you'd be all at 1500.
Yeah,
so just forget that for a moment. So to preload is the 1500 before and after the race, and during the race it would be a combination of the 1000. And then if you were going to take salt tablets on the run, it should be about 3 salt tablets per hour.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Very interesting. I'm actually shocked with the calf cramping one. How that explains that.
Really thought.
Okay.
We were just talking about cramping in my calves, and that's probably why it's related.
That's the average person here, 949. So Brian is losing 1638.
All right.
That's
very interesting.
Very interesting.
Which is very high.
Just leaving your reaction there when you went in.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how high it was.
Yeah.
It's definitely that's your calf cramps.
That's my problem.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So we take the marathon then in Manchester. Besides the gels, you'd want to be taking at least, because you're only going to be there for 3 hours. 2 hours 59.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would be taking not the first hour because you load up in the 1500s. From hour 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, I'd be taking 2 salt tablets. And 2 salt tablets.
Okay.
So 2 after 1 hour and 2 after 2 hours.
Okay.
So that's your sodium box ticked. You have your gel box ticked.
Yeah. Honestly, no, I'm kind of shocked with that myself, because I was saying like you're going to Ken and doing all the foam rolling in the world, but he was like,
and the sodium loss.
That's massive.
And the fact you don't take salt in your diet,
none
you see,
whatsoever.
You're at a deficit from even your training. Probably, if you think about it, you're not getting besides the salt and processed foods.
Of course,
but not enough.
So if you're training every day,
I sit down at dinner and people say to me, "Don't you take any salt?" Guys, no.
And you can see you're at a deficit then if you're going out for doing your run. Yeah, low sodium to start with. Okay? When you're going out and running maybe for an hour and a half, your cramps start up.
And
you're low. Maybe you haven't come in and had your electrolyte or anything like that. Maybe you haven't. The next day you're even lower sodium level again.
That makes sense.
Jesus, that's really good.
Very interesting.
So even